We're so glad that you joined us this afternoon. Welcome to the Together We Heal Forum, which is organized by the Central Texas African American Family Support Conference. This conference vision is to educate the African community about mental health disorders, substance use disorders, and intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as total well-being of the African American community. I hope that this forum will provide you with the opportunity for you to participate, in conversations that offer education, encouragement, and resources to thrive. My name is Sonia Hosey, and I am the Associate Pastor of God's Way Christian Baptist Church, and I will be your moderator for this afternoon. Some of the housekeeping rules. Please, at this time, I would like for you just to mute yourself. There will be times for interactions, and you will have a time to raise your hands and then unmute yourself when you are called upon. Sometimes these forums may become somewhat emotional or overwhelmed. So I want you to just to take care of yourself. Please turn off your video so that you can handle your emotions privately, because like we said, sometimes, it may be a little bit distressing. So you have permission to do so. Note that the sessions are recorded and it's streaming on Facebook. So if you have someone that you would like to get involved, that would be awesome, because again, we are on Facebook. Today's topic is reshaping your self-talk to reinvent your life. Reshaping your self-talk and to reinvent your life. This is so important, a topic that we really need during this pandemic. Our guest is Brittany Thomas, and Brittany was born and raised in Bronx, New York. She is passionate and a public speaker whose mission in life is to help guide others to manifest the reality that they want. She has so much success in her professional care as the head of sales for Google's ordering apps and as a business coach for small restaurants. Brittany's success in corporate America has catapulted her motivation to start her own company called Brittany Unlimited LLC. Her focus is on personal and financial health and wellness and development. Thank you, Brittany, for being here. So just take it away. We're ready.
Thank you so much for having me. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sonia and Lady Jane, for inviting me and having me as your keynote speaker. So I picked the topic, how to reshape your thinking to manifest the life that you want, because I'm a living manifestation of being born into a situation, being expected to perform in a certain degree and not living up to that expectation and choosing to reinvent myself from past mistakes. So I'm going to give you guys just a little background about who I am, what I've accomplished, and where this new beginning has taken me, and just some tools that I've learned over the past 10 years that have been successful and has catapulted me into who I am today and the reinvention process that I've created. So like Sonia said, I am originally from the Bronx, New York. I've lived in Texas for about 14 years. So I'm a native now. I've claimed it. I might not have been born here, but I am now a native. My growing up, very humble beginnings. I am from a very low income family. My family dynamic suffered from addiction, substance abuse. My mother, God rest her soul, was addicted to drugs when I was born, pretty much her whole life. I have 6 siblings, and she passed away when I turned 7. However, I was abandoned from her at birth. she was so addicted to drugs that she was unable to care for me. So for the first 8 months of my life, I lived in foster care. She, I guess, was maybe ashamed, so she didn't tell any of my family members that she had a baby. Just so happened that a doctor found out that she had a baby and contacted a family member, and that's how I was discovered. So I came into this world, unfortunately, unwanted. And that affected my psyche as I got older. After 8 months, I was then adopted by my grandparents, my mother's mom and dad, and along with my siblings. And we had a very normal life, in my opinion. Most of my friends were raised by their grandparents. I was born in the 80s, so the crack epidemic was very, very strong in New York. So it wasn't until I got older and realized that, yeah, most people do grow up with their parents and most people kind of have a normal life. But back then, it was just me, my sisters, and my grandparents. And I went through a really hard time growing up because that feeling of abandonment, that seeing drug use and substance abuse in my family and in my life definitely affected how I saw the world. So once I turned about 15 years old, I found myself in a very abusive domestic violence relationship. So much so that it took me about 8 years to get out of it. It was very physical, sexual, and verbally abusive. And it was really hard for me to get out of it because I was not talking light into myself. I was not expressing or experiencing love. So I dropped out of high school. I got pregnant really early. There were so many things in my life that just seemed like it was just not going to happen for me. Being abandoned, being treated like you're not worthy for that long really shaped my way of thinking, specifically about relationships at that time. But for a number of years, I struggled with self-confidence. I struggled with just, this idea of who I'm supposed to be and living up to those expectations. My family was supportive of me and wanted me to be healthy, but I couldn't manifest it in my life. And it wasn't until I turned 19 years old that I decided that I was not going to continue to, think small and be small. I decided, yeah, I might be a high school dropout. I might be, a domestic violence survivor. I might be all of these things. I might have been abandoned as a child and feeling as if I'm unwanted, but that doesn't have to be my story. Like, all of these things are part of my story, but that doesn't have to be the end goal for me. So at 19, I came to Texas and I came to visit. I really didn't come to stay. And I had this kind of eye-opening, awakening process. The world was so much bigger than my little 8-block radius in the Bronx, New York. And once I came to Texas and I saw that, no, people can have normal relationships. You can start over. You don't have to be this quote unquote messed up, broken person. You can reinvent yourself. You don't have to continue this mindset. So I did that. I came to Texas and it was hard. Oh my God, was it hard? I was so broken. I was motivated to do the work. But it is hard to get out of the mindset of brokenness, especially when that's all you know. So I flipped back and forth. One minute I felt like I was on the right track and I'm doing the things, I'm going back to school, and I'm out of this, horrific relationship. But there was a part of me that felt like, I don't think I deserve it. I don't think that I'm supposed to have the life that I really want. Because I'm broken. Like that's my story. And it took me about 2 years to really train myself out of that thinking. I finally went back to school and got my high school diploma. And that was a win for me. Like that was an eye opener for me that, hey, I can accomplish something, you know? And I was like, okay, well, how about college? Like, let's try college. Like, why not? And I went to college, and those little wins really woke me up to think that, no, Britt, like you don't have to just be that one thing, you know, and people are going to question you. People are going to try to down talk you and make you feel like you're small, but that's not your truth. So I started getting these little wins, and then I started doing counseling, because as much as I was trying to do the self-talk for myself, I needed someone else who was more experienced in that and not be afraid of my dark stuff, right? I had to walk into it knowing that it's going to be painful, but in order for me to really grow and become the person I'm supposed to become, I had to face all of my stuff. That was the dark stuff. That was the self-sabotage. That was the imposter syndrome. That was, you know, acknowledging that the abuse happened, you know, acknowledging that my parents didn't want me, you know, these hard things, and understanding my role in it. I didn't have control over my mother, you know, so I can't live in her purpose. I can't live in that feeling of unwantingness because I'm here, right? And that's her story. And I had to separate my story from that. You know, I had a conversation with the gentleman who I was in the abusive relationship with, and I had to forgive him. I had to forgive myself. And I had to start talking light into myself and purpose back into myself. And knowing that these episodes and these parts of my life are just parts of my life. It does not mean that this is the end goal. So once I, you know, went to college, and then I met my husband after doing the counseling and understanding that, you know, what you put out into the world is what you receive. So if I'm loving on myself and I'm empowering myself, then I'm attracting that into my life. And I met my husband. I've been in this relationship for 11 years now. And I never thought that I would be. I never thought that I could be in a marriage with someone who thinks that the sun rises because I'm alive, you know? Everybody wants that. And it wasn't until I really got comfortable with myself and understanding that, Britt, because of where you come from doesn't mean that that's the end goal. Like, you can reinvent your life. You can have a new story. So we did that, got married, I have a beautiful son. His name's Aiden. I have to shout him out because that's my baby. Like, if I did nothing else right in life, I know that little boy is he was on purpose for sure. And then I started my professional career. For a really long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do professionally. And I just started taking dead end jobs. You know, I had my son and I'm like, okay, well, I've got to take care of him now. I'm married now, so I've got to be responsible. But I started taking on jobs that were just, you know, there to support me, but not really living in my purpose. And then I got serious. I stopped being lazy. I stopped not trying, because sometimes I would just see myself, and I would think, oh, well, you know, this job pays enough and it's easy enough. I can do it. And I felt like I was selling myself short. So I started to write down everything that I wanted in my life, career-wise, family-wise, just personal. Like, this is the person. If I had to map her out, these are all the qualities she would have. And I kid you not, I wrote down about 50 things. And at least I would say like 46 of those things have come to fruition as of today. And that's because I've decided to put in the work and get very clear about what I want and how I was going to get it. My claim to fame was when I got hired on at Google in a leadership role. Never in a million years, not from dropping out of high school, not from, you know, being so down on myself, did I think that I would ever get a position at a company that I really wanted to work for and in a leadership role. And that was the kind of like the eye-opening moment for me. Like, Brittany, you can do the things that you want to do. It doesn't matter what your background or what your past says about you. So that was the first one. Then we started a company, which is Anything's Baked Potato. My husband owns a food truck. And watching him build that and being a part of the building process from the ground up really ignited the skill set in me that I am a grower. I know that I'm here put on this planet to develop and to coach and manage and help people really see themselves in their like most authentic, healthy way as possible. And watching him do that and being a part of that, and then going to Google in another position and being head of sales and like hiring nothing but women, hiring nothing but, you know, different cultural backgrounds, different skill levels, just to be able to give an opportunity to those who were like me that didn't think that they could, didn't ever think that this is possible, and say, no, here's an opportunity. It's your job to just take it and kind of run with it. And doing that for the past 5 years has motivated me to start my own company, which is called Brittany Unlimited. And the premise of it, it's a women's empowerment company. And it's honestly, it's inspired by my grandmother and my mother because of their lifestyles and their struggles. And I wish that they had an environment like I'm trying to create where women can be included so we can share our stories and know that you are not alone. You can change and reshape your life. I am a testimony of that. And my grandmother, she went through all of her struggles by herself. I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for the women that I know. I don't want that for anyone. So I created Brittany Unlimited, and I'm doing my very first Women's Empowerment Conference here in Austin, Texas on June 26th. It's an all-day event, and it's all about reshaping your mind, understanding that what you've gone through is not where you have to end up, being around like-minded women who can share their stories to motivate you and actually have tools and a support system to help you get to where you want to be, or just if you just want to come and listen, you know, that's the environment that I want to create, because I believe it's needed, desperately needed. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Like literally, if I can do it after all that I've been through and all that I've had to overcome, anyone can do it. So that is why I've created this company. That's why I wanted to speak to you all. And yeah, I'm just super motivated to empower women and to empower people, period. And then to also really speak on mental health awareness, but really understanding that counseling has helped me tremendously. The amount of therapy that I've gone through, and as Black people, you know, we don't necessarily do a lot of that. I know my grandparents didn't, I know my mom didn't, I know a lot of my family don't necessarily see it as an asset. But I say this wholeheartedly, without a level of like release and being able to express how I feel and to work through those blockages, I would not be able to be here today. So I just want to speak on that importance. But it really starts with the mind, right? It starts with the idea of who we are and how we got here, and really get clear about what we want so that we can create a plan, you know, to strengthen ourselves and to motivate ourselves. But we have to be able to heal. And within that healing, we can reshape the way we think and really manifest the lives that we want. Okay, that's my spill.
If there's anyone who would like to ask a question of Brittany, this is the time to do so. I do know, Brittany, they do want to know the information for the conference that's coming up.
Yes.
Can you go ahead and give us that information?
Yes, you can go to my website. It's www.brittany, BRITTANY, unlimited.com. And on the site, you can find out all the speakers that are going to be there. Obviously, the snippet of myself. You can also purchase your tickets there. I'm doing a promotion. It's almost free at this point. It's a buy one, and then you get to bring a friend with you for free. And it's here in Austin, Texas. So you can definitely go to the site and find out a little bit more. Yeah.
of the questions that was asked, what was your mental state like before your success? How did it look like before your success?
It was very, before my success, it was numb. I felt very, after my son is when it kind of like, I would say for 5 years, it was just kind of numb. I was just kind of living. I wasn't necessarily driven by anything outside of just making sure that I had enough money and, a roof over my head, and I was responsible enough to be a parent. So I was just kind of going with the motions. It was nothing that really motivated me outside of him. But yeah, there was just kind of this like numb feeling, like, yeah, I'm living, I'm not hurting, but I'm also not happy. I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm just kind of in this kind of a homeostasis kind of state.
There are a lot of young people, I'm certain, that's looking at you, Brittany, and just wondering, what can I do? Because a lot of these young girls, they're in a cycle. They may see their story as a part of your story, but what would be something that you would tell a young girl who may be in a situation similar to yours, or maybe having just some low self-esteem, some deep low self-esteem?
Oh, deep low self-esteem. You have to talk to someone professional about what you're going through. Counseling for me was honestly a life-changing process. Obviously, I have a really strong faith in God. So I literally speak to him all day, every day, or her, she's a her to me. But it was professional help. It was literally me deciding, okay, I'm going to talk to someone about this. And I wanted to talk to somebody I didn't know, because there was this level of, there wasn't an expectation. They didn't know me, whether or not, they agreed with some of the decisions that I made, or they cared about any of it. I just needed to release it and to be able to receive some tools on how to process it. I remember having a conversation and, about the abusive relationship. And I asked her, I was like, well, I don't know why I still love him, because I did. Even through all of the things that he put me through, I still loved him. And I remember receiving the information that it's okay to still love him. You don't necessarily have to hate yourself for still loving someone who has abused you. And that was eye-opening for me, because I felt like, what is wrong with me? Like, why do I still even care for a person that has treated me so horribly? And to just be able to receive that feedback from somebody who didn't know me, it was an awakening moment. But if I'd talk to my friends, or, talk to a parent, they're like, well, why do you care? Like, you shouldn't love that person. The other feedback was horrible, but to be able to talk to someone professional that was able to give me a different perspective really helped. It made me not feel so alone and so broken. So yeah, professional help is key for me. Key.
There's a few more questions, but you stated something that I know for sure adults are still dealing with trauma from their childhood.
Yes.
Truly dealing with trauma from their childhood, and just trying to find a way to get out from the hurt. Because sometimes the hurt is still there, the pain is still there, and just trying to find a way out. There's another question. How did the trauma you experienced as a child shape your teenage years? And you may have answered it, but can you just kind of go into a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I lived in the Bronx, New York. So in New York, it's customary to be very hard and tough. Like, showing emotion is not okay, because it shows this level of vulnerability. So if you're vulnerable, people take advantage of you. So my childhood, I didn't have my mom, and I still don't know who my father is. So having parents was not necessarily normal for me. I always had my grandparents. But my adolescent years, I was a rebel. Oh my gosh. If anybody knew me back then, you'd be like, oh my God, Brittany, what? You're like a completely different person. I was angry all the time. I was angry because my environment forced me to be angry because I had to be tough. And then I was angry because I didn't know who I was. You know, I wasn't comfortable with who I was. And the part of me that I did know was hard. I had to be hard. And that forced me to shut down emotionally. So majority of the time when I was going through that abusive relationship, I wasn't even sad. I was angry all the time. And I exploded on everybody, you know, and they say, you know, hurt people hurt people. And that was my mentality. Because I was being hurt, because I was hurting myself, I couldn't do nothing else but hurt others. And it wasn't until I really got an eye-opening, you know, when I moved, that showed me like, no, this doesn't have to be the way you interact with people. This doesn't have to be the way your life, you know, has to go, you know, moving forward. But yeah, my adolescent years, I was a very, very defensive person because I felt like I had to be. I wasn't going to let anybody else take advantage of me because so many people had. But that's obviously not the way I am now. And even the way I wanted to be then. I wanted to be soft, but I couldn't.
Hi.
Yes.
I wanted to make a comment. You know, the thing about empowerment conferences, I think it's a little bit of a turnoff because I hope the assumption isn't made that we Black women are not survivors, that we may not have fulfilled all our goals and all our things, and we have a ways to go. But any person these days who's in the workforce, who's accomplishing something, is empowered. We may not be where we want to be, but it's important. And one of the reasons I was so interested in this workshop is it's important that we take time to rest, to heal, to celebrate, to appreciate where we are. And during that rest, break, or stopover, that we get a glimpse of where we can go onward to. What are the next steps? I think all too often we don't celebrate each other. We don't realize that you may be tired. And just today you feel some inspiration. But please, please take the time to commend us from where we are and where we have to go. Because most of you, I'm just seeing the pictures of that. I know as young, beautiful Black women, you have put up with some mess. You've overcome some struggles, okay? And then Brittany, I just want to say your trauma-informed experience led to you deeply appreciating the experience that you have now. And it's so beautiful. And I hope it continues that way for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then just to comment on your message. No, there is not the assumption that everybody who's coming is broken. And I want to make that completely
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes, no. There's no assumption. This is literally, like you said, it's a celebration. It's being able to come together and being able to share inspiring stories so that we don't feel like we're alone. I live in Austin, Texas. I don't see enough of my people. I don't see enough women that look like me, not in the workforce, not when I'm out. You know, obviously my group of friends, you know, collectively, we're all Black women or women of color. And of course, I have other ethnicities that are friends too. But I'm creating this environment because I want us to be able to have a collective space where we can come and share our stories and be empowered and be inspired. But yes, there is no assumption that everybody who's coming, you're broken and you're coming to get fixed. Like, no, that's not what I'm promoting here.
No, we're coming to get inspired, to get further motivated.
Exactly. Yes. Be inspired and be motivated. And even if you're not coming for that, if you're coming to listen to music, because we will have performances, that's perfectly fine as well. If you're coming to support local businesses, because we will have vendors, that's perfectly fine as well. But the premise of it is to get women together. We've been separated for so long due to COVID that I was really inspired to say, okay, we're all going through stuff. We all collectively went through COVID, right? Every single person on this planet experienced some level of it. So here we are able to say, all right, let's get together. We can talk about that. But if you just want to be able to be in a room full of other people because we've been isolated for so long, and if that's your mission, then come do that.
How did you overcome stigma as a young person needing or wanting counseling? I know that's difficult as a young person.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily see counseling as a negative thing. I'm a talker, as you can see. I like to talk through my stuff, and I am a seeker of knowledge. And everybody likes to talk about themselves to an extent, right? I want to learn as much about me as I possibly can. I didn't think that I needed to go to counseling until I got a little bit older, because I was just going through things and I couldn't understand why I was like stuck in this cycle. But I know that I wanted to work my way through it. But I never really looked at counseling as a negative thing.
This is a wonderful question. The question is, how do you maintain your peace today when you're faced with any of the triggers that once impacted you in the past? That's huge, because that's huge.
Oh no, I've quit like 50 times this year already. So just to let you know, I still go through it. I have such a strong faith in God. That's where I go for all of my guidance, for all of my troubles. And not to say that everybody else on here has to believe in God and it has to go straight there, but my testimony is that's exactly where I go. Another thing is I meditate daily, and that brings me this sense of calmness, this sense of clarity. And I make sure that I give God at least 20 minutes a day to connect with me. And then we're talking throughout the day. I know he's probably like, all right, Britt, girl, I gave you the answer already. Stop asking me. But that's really it. Like I said, I've been in my relationship with my husband for the past 11 years. So I've worked through a lot of my own stuff. And even in that relationship, I've had to recognize when I was projecting out my own fears and, not necessarily processing them and just putting them onto him. And when I was really receiving it back. But to answer your question, I have to sit with God. Whenever I'm triggered or wherever I'm feeling like, a negative thought comes back into my head, I have to like, oh God, please remove that. Go ahead and release it. And I have to remember, and not to be like cocky, but I'm dope. Like I've gone through it. I am like, no, I'm done with that. I'm done with that self-limiting belief. I am really who I am today. And I believe that wholeheartedly because I've done the work. So I know that I'm not there. I'm not, I'm only 34, but I'm way beyond the years that I was back then. And I'm way more sure of myself. So the confidence is like, oh, please, you couldn't possibly. Like, get away from me.
And it's that positive insight about who you are and what you've come through. And as you said, that foundation of faith is so important. Yeah. So important. The conference that you're having, is that primarily for African-American women, or is it diverse?
It's diverse. It's diverse. My panel is diverse. I have 5 people. Well, yeah, I have 5 speakers. But yeah, it's open to all women. So it's a women's empowerment conference. I don't discriminate based on race, economic status, where you come from, where you're going. If you're a woman, then you're invited.
This is interesting because you were talking about the self-talk. What is your self-talk that continues to reshape you?
Yeah.
Constant reshaping.
Yeah, I continuously uplift myself. I even have a song that I play every time I'm about to do a meeting or every time I'm about to do a speech, and it's called Unstoppable. And I sing that song and I play that song because it motivates me and it re-energizes that unlimited ability that I have. So, I even walk around with these little like reminders to myself. Like I pull out cards and it's like baby steps, I come in peace, but I mean business. I do these things. I put sticky notes around reminding myself how fabulous I am, how special I am, how important and purposeful I am. And I do that regularly because, for such a long time, I was limiting my belief. I was like, Brittany, you can't do that. Or, you're not smart enough. Oh, you need a degree for that. You'll never be able to take that job because you're not qualified. I got hired on without a college degree. I, am doing a conference. I just started this in March, and here we are in June, and I've sold out this, nearly sold out my first conference. Like, I'm unstoppable. I'm not going to let myself be limited by my own negative thoughts anymore. So nobody is in charge of my life but God. So I'm going to do the things that I want to do with my life. I'm going to encourage myself. And in the process, I'm going to give to others and show others and be an example that you can do it too. All you have to do is reshape your thinking, turn that negative into a positive, and really do the work. Another tool that I use often that has helped me manifest the life that I have and the life that I'm going to have is I write down all of my goals as if I already have them. I manifest it into my life. So if I am in a negative feeling or in a negative emotion, I give grace to God. I'm so grateful. Even when I'm like cursing at the top of my lungs, I have to remind myself, Brittany, live in gratitude, because when you do that, then it changes for you, right? And I think everybody's probably experienced that as well. But I write down everything as if I already have it, and I allow the universe and I allow God to bring it into my life. And I don't question it. I just say that I already have it, and then it shows up.
You have said so many different things that really is resonating in my mind. As a graceful older young lady of myself, there are still some things that I believe is so important, for women in our age, women my age, to go back, look at some goals, figure out how to do more things in life. And I'm pretty sure there may be some other ladies here that may do the same or may need the same thing. What kind of support did you receive from your church or expect from your church or the community as you were looking back? So what kind of support did you receive?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that question? What kind of support did I receive from my church?
What kind of support did you expect from your church or community looking back as you begin to look back now?
That's a good question. My expectations were never really high when it came to the support of others. I was always very humbled that people ever supported me. I mean, you can even ask me now, like if my girlfriends do anything or if anybody does anything, I'm always so humbled and so grateful because I am such a self-starter and I am it's hard sometimes for me to really receive gifts and receive the support. So I'm working through that part. But to be completely honest, and this is completely honest, as much as I believe in God, I don't belong to a specific church. All of my healing has come from me being spiritual with God and knowing my relationship with Him, and doing the counseling work through that spiritual connection. So the expectations of what I received from church, I didn't grow up in church. My grandparents did not raise me that way, but they did instill a strong belief in God in me. So the expectations from the outside world were always low. I always went to the source first.
At this time, I just want to open the floor. We have some beautiful young ladies that's on this page, and I'm pretty sure that there may be some questions that you would like to ask Brittany besides some of the questions that we've already asked.
So I just wanted to make a comment. Hi, Brittany. Just wanted to give you just an extreme shout out to say just how proud I am to see you have blossomed and grown and to hear your testimony and your story and, just understanding all the things that a person, can have happen to them over time. And then to see the light at the end of the tunnel by looking directly into your eyes and seeing just everything that's ahead of you, all the things that you've accomplished. And then just your want to bring people along with you, I think is very admirable. So you didn't just figure your own way out, but you're also trying to bring us along with you. And I feel like that's probably my biggest takeaway is like, how do I, be that testimony for the people that are around me to encourage and inspire in the way that you are doing for us. So thank you. And I'm very proud.
Thank you so much. I love you.
That's beautiful. Talk about mental health wellness as you have come to know it.
Yeah.
Your mental health wellness as you have come to know it as of now through your growth.
Oh, mental health for me it is probably the most important thing that I can do with my life. Being able to go through what I've gone through and not wear it on me is an accomplishment in itself. I think most people who know me, and this is all new for me to share my story, to speak about my past, because I've always been kind of a private person, very surface, because I've been very protective, being vulnerable and being taken advantage of. But being able to manage all that I've gone through, and being able to see that it's not on me. I don't have to wear it. And I don't have to live it every day is a testimony in itself. I feel like I've overcome so much that it feels like a distant dream. It does. It feels like a distant dream because I've come to the realization through counseling and through therapy that sometimes things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And the abuse that happened, the abandonment that happened, it all happened for a reason. And I'm the person that I am today, and I'm strong, and I'm able to, show up the way I'm showing up now because I went through that. And I don't have to wear it, I don't have to claim it as if this is all I am. And that's the mental health for me. And that's the story. And that is the lesson that I want to, instill in my son and, instill in my friends and my relationship and the people that are in my influence, is that you don't have to wear everything that you've gone through, because it's not always necessarily happening to you, it's necessarily happening for you. So yeah, that to me is how I'm able to really be the best person that I can be, because I'm able to acknowledge and put it in boxes versus, having to live with it every day.
Ms. Williams, I believe you have a question for Brittany.
I don't have a question as much as a comment. Just want to salute you just for your testimony. The scripture says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, but by the words of our testimony. And I want to say today, you caused us to really want to overcome and to join. I'm one of those people who have the calendar who is always full and want to always partner with and salute people. But I'm telling you, I'm celebrating you and fanning the fire of what you shared today, because I really think that you're going to cause a lot of women to uplift themselves as well as join with community. I feel welcomed with your testimony. I don't feel like it's a groupie, right? Like people can invite you to conferences and it kind of feels like groupies, but I didn't feel that. I felt that you're really raising a community of health. And I just wanted to say, self-care is healthcare. So I just appreciate you sharing that with us. And Ms. Hosey, thank you. Always wonderful host. So thank you all for this time. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. I love that. Thank you.
Brittany, do you currently work with young girls?
As of right now, I do. It's a very small group. It's about 3 girls that I'm working with right now. I have a mentor program, and we meet twice a week. And we just kind of talk about what's happening. My niece is a part of it. She's 15. Yeah, she turned 15 this year. And I have 2 other girls. that I'm mentoring right now. I'm sorry, Sonia, you are on. Yeah.
Is there a way for our young people to contact you?
Yes.
Do you have, okay.
Yes, of course. So at my conference, I'm going to be launching this to the masses. So if anybody's interested in learning more about it now, you can definitely email me directly at info@brittanyunlimited.com. You can also message me on Instagram and Facebook too. Facebook, I'm Brittany Thomas. Here in Austin, there's a lot of them, so you just have to kind of search for me. Or you can message me on Instagram, and it's Brittany_Unlimited.
Okay. And are there any other questions? Just out of curiosity, as we're talking about the youth, have you seen specific issues that's come up in regards to our youth, especially during this pandemic?
Yes. Isolation, social media. The social media is number one. Social media is one that me and the young ladies that I mentor talk about all the time, the influence that social media has on them. And my approach to it is I try to be very friendly and like, kind of like the auntie in it, just to get a little bit more information as to what they're experiencing. Because when I open up social media, I see it all. There's a lot of influence, and most of it is not positive, especially not body positive for young girls. And that right there, to me, is like where we need to definitely focus a lot of our attention as mentors and as people of influence when it comes to young people, men, boys too. But right now, because of my trajectory, it's primarily young girls. But yeah, social media has been like our biggest topic. Every time we have a meeting, it's about what we're experiencing and what's being provided and what's real and what's not, honestly.
And again, if there's any other comments or questions, we have until about 2:30. We're ending at 2:30. So I want people to have an opportunity just to engage in the conversation. Ms. Anderson, did you have something there?
Actually, you addressed it to some extent as far as the involvement of youth or teens. And as an educator, for sure, I work with that population, and having someone available, not necessarily knowing that you have these resources. How do we cultivate an environment so that they, I don't have the money to go to a counselor or what have you. How can we as a community make ourselves available? Because as you stated before, it's not always available in the home.
Yeah.
Starting at home.
It's really not. I know I didn't grow up with much of it. And I grew up with my grandparents, like my niece, she's growing up with her grandparents, which is what really motivated me to start that with her, because I knew what I was going through. There was conversations that I wanted to have, but I wasn't comfortable having it with her. Like, no. Actually, to be TMI, like I didn't have a sex talk until I was 18 years old with my grandmother, and I was way beyond that, So it really motivated me to have those conversations with them, because social media, I mean, the way we grew up, we didn't grow up with that much access. There's so much access. And yeah, they don't necessarily have the resources. So yes, I am creating what I call, it's actually a university, Brittany Unlimited BU University, where it's like a 5-week course where we go through like, pretty much how to manifest the life that you really want, but really deep diving into, some of the blockages that you have and some of the triggers and like all of the things that I've talked about previously in this conversation. But at the end, what I want people to get is really the tools on how to self-manage. I'm not here to lead and to heal anyone. I think that all of that healing has to be done within ourselves, right? But we can all have some level of guidance. So I would love to be able to share that with those that are interested. And definitely the youth.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
There's a question about, is there a mentoring program or are you looking for mentors for your mentoring program?
As of right now, I'm not looking for anyone, but that's a really great question. If it's possible, if you can send me, if whoever's asking this question, I can't see, I just see all the screens. You can definitely go to my Instagram page and send me a direct message, and we can have a more detailed conversation about it. But yeah, very, very good question. I'm not necessarily looking for anyone as a mentor, more so mentorees. That's a word, yes. But very good question. Please send me a direct message for whoever asked that. I'll talk to you.
Okay, we have had an awesome dialogue, conversation, comments within this group. And I'm certain that all of these ladies would just say, we thank you so much, Brittany, for your gift. Let me just say it that way. There's something about a glow when people are going through or have gone through something and now have gone or have come through it. And there is a glow about you that's telling all of us that, you know what, regardless of what situations that we're going through, that we can come out.
Oh yeah.
And we just have that same glow and the same attitude, to have that same strength, but growing from it. And I think that's the part that is so amazing for me, is that you've gone through it and you've grown through it, and now you're giving back to help somebody else. So that, in a sense, is truly a blessing. And I'm pretty sure everybody else can say yes. I believe Monica. Monica, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I pushed the wrong button, but I'll just share. I do agree that this has been really helpful. I was late, so I would love the information. Lady Jane sent me the invitation, but I had another meeting. But I would love more information about the conference. Again, I was late, sorry, but what I did get was really powerful. And I know in our Latina roles, we actually could use this as well. So thank you for sharing all the information. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. You're welcome.
So again, Brittany, we all thank you for being here. This has been an enlightening, helpful conversation. And I realize there's some work that I need to do. Even if it's affirmation, but there are some things that I can work on also. I just want to let everybody know that the Central Texas African American Family Support Conference is coming up in February 2021. We are looking for speakers. The call for papers is already out. We had a dynamic conference in 2021 and virtual conference all across the nation. If you missed it, I believe that this is an awesome opportunity for you all to come and join us, because we had an awesome time on 2021. You go to the Central Texas African American Family Support Conference.com. So CTAAFSC. I got that right, .com. And then there's also the workshop proposal. So get out your call for papers. It's already launched. And then also go to the website to get more information. And then also there is a Facebook page. I believe there's over 1,000 people that's on that Facebook page. That's information that will be shared in our community, to give information, to update conferences, to update workshops. Matter of fact, this particular workshop was on the Facebook group, but then shared publicly. And so go to the Facebook site. The Together We Heal forums are every month, the third Wednesdays of every month at 1:30. We are so happy to have this opportunity to continue these forums because it's a continuation of education and awareness. As we have dealt with the conference, we're trying to make sure that information continues throughout our community. So again, my name is Sonia Hosey. I'm so grateful to have moderated this exceptional presentation, and I really hope that everyone enjoyed it. If there's no other questions, comments, everybody's good? Everybody have a plan? Okay, well, thank you so much. Everybody be safe and stay blessed.
Thank you, guys.